Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a scary video.
Really? What?
Oh, just a little RADTV.
You like scary movies?
No! The acting is always terrible! Hi, and welcome to Ryan and Jill's movie review.
Today, we'll be reviewing the movie Scream, which was released in 1996 and was rated R.
Scream was directed by Wes Craven and stars some talents such as Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Dave Arquette, just to name a few. So let's start with score this week.
I honestly thought they did a really great job. Their music was spot on for the mood of the movie, and it was there, but it wasn't incredibly noticeable, so it wasn't in the way of the actual movie itself.
Right, yeah, I really feel that and really implied that build up, let down scare tactic that movies nowadays don't have, where the music gets you all ready for something to happen and then nothing happens, and in that moment of vulnerability they imply the scare and it really just hits you a lot harder.
I thought they did a great job. And then in times when the music did need to be noticeable, such as the party, they did make it louder. So I thought they did a very great job with the score.
So next, let's talk about the cinematography and lighting of the movie. The cinematography, I felt, was, like the score, really well done. I really enjoyed the use of close-ups and awkward angles. It added a new and different feel for a horror movie, but I guess old because it is a classic.
For sure. I think they definitely used some of the classic horror movie shots where, for example, the killer's behind the door and the person shuts the door and you see them, or you see the killer in the background, or, you know, the classic hiding in the bushes shot, spying on the person. Yeah. And even though those are like very, I don't want to say corny, but definitely cliche movie shots, I think it was definitely necessary for a movie like this. It kind of made the movie.
Yeah. I felt that the extras and the kind of shots that they used added a more realistic feel to an already unrealistic storyline.
True.
And I just thought everything was really well done.
So our next topic of discussion will be the casting and the acting in the movie itself.
As well as storyline.
As well as the storyline.
So I felt that the character of Sydney was really well done. Good choice for the main character of the film.
I totally agree with you. I mean, they definitely had those cheesy runaway shots where the girl trips and the killer's behind her. But overall, they didn't make her too much of a weak character. She was definitely strong, and I sort of like that. She was a fighter throughout the entire movie.
Another character who many at home might recognize is the reporter, who the name is slipping my brain because I suck at actor names. You will recognize her as Monica from Friends. And she did a really great job. What did you think about how she performed?
I agree. She was actually also on my list of favorite characters throughout the movie, along with the killers. I think of all the characters, they did the best job of making it real. Some of the other actors had some very unnatural lines where it made you laugh.
Yeah. I feel like those are really the only characters I feel the need to speak about, because everyone else was just kind of subpar. On the storyline, now, there were good parts and there were bad parts of the storyline for me. For instance, the depiction of the high school, I really feel like if someone died, as they did in the beginning, very beginning of the film, people would not just be laughing it off and joking about it. They would be really devastated. So that's what really turned me off about the high school aspect. A lot of the peoples being killed in this film did fight back.
I completely agree with you on that. I thought it was a nice change to see them fight back. But I have to say that even though the high school it wasn't necessarily the kind of high school that we go to. It was almost a part of the horror movie. Like, it would have been odd had the high school been extremely realistic.
Now, see, that's where I'm going to have to disagree with you, because I feel if the high school was extremely realistic, it would almost make the movie scarier, because you go to that high school, that's your high school. It's so realistic that it almost makes it feel like it could happen to you. The depiction of the high school in the movie, I felt really added a corny feel that I really didn't like.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of liked it. I liked the whole 90s-esque high school. It's not what high school's like, but in terms of a movie, it's like a movie high school, which I like.
I guess. Which could almost lead us into our next topic, personal opinion. Even though there were some parts of the movie that I liked and some parts that I didn't, I really liked the movie, and I really do think that it's a classic and that everyone should see it.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that. It's definitely a classic for sure. And if you're going to watch a horror movie and you've never seen any before, that should definitely be a go-to movie.
It should definitely be on everyone's list.
Yeah.
It was really self-aware, which is something almost iconic to the Scream franchise, where they'll say things such as, oh, well, when you're in a horror movie, you should never do this.
And then they go and do it, of course. Yeah.
So I think that about wraps it up. One thing I have to mention before we end is there is a scene, spoiler alert, so if you keep watching, you've been warned. There is a scene where Tatum dies, the garage scene. There's so many movie sins in that scene that made it so unrealistic, and I'm about to break them down for you guys. So Tatum walks into the garage, she's getting some drinks out of the refrigerator, and the killer comes in. He confronts her, and then one thing that she does is she throws a full, glass bottle at him, and it shatters. If that happens in real life, you're down for the count. That's number one. Number two, he's chasing her through the garage, and she slams the refrigerator door in his face, and hard enough for him to oomph back and fall on the ground. That's number two, down for the count. She tabletops him, which is where he was running at her, and she got on her hands and knees and fell over her onto the stairs. Number three, he's down. The way she dies is she tries to crawl out through the cat door. Stupidest scene I've ever seen.
Oh my
It
God.
was so dumb. And the killer was like, oh, I'll be so lazy, and turned on the garage where she would have been crushed as the door was opening. A garage door cannot lift a high schooler. I'm sorry. Either the bottom of the cat door would have given out, or the motor would not have worked. I'm sorry. So those are all the movie sins in that scene.
Of course, you always have to have the flawed physics of a horror movie.
Absolutely. So now we come to the portion in the show where we rate the movie. And personally, I would give this movie 7.5 bloody knives out of 10.
I'm gonna have to go with 8, Ryan.
8?
8.
Oh man. All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week's edition of Ryan and Jill's Movie Review. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.